Jim Kenny. He is a retired psychologist with over 50 years of clinical experience. Jim Kenny says our current foster care system is suffering from a shortage of foster homes, unacceptable delays and failures in achieving permanence for our children in limbo, and the continuing reliance on yesterday's solution to address today's changed family lifestyles. Although I went over the statistics of the foster care system in my last speech, I still would like to refresh your memory about the foster care statistics of our system today. According to Children's Rights, there are 428,000 children in the foster care system on any given day. They also say that 14% of these children live in an institution or group home rather than a foster home. According to Children's Rights, the children remain in state care for about 2 years. 6% of those children are in the state care for 5 or more years. Children's Rights also tells us that more than 62,000 children are waiting to be adopted every year. Children's Rights tell us that about 20,000 children age out of the system each year. Jim Kenny speaks of a man named Noel Anaya, who aged out of the system after 22 years. Noel was in the system for 22 years before he completely aged out of the system. The statistics of our foster care system are becoming a problem in society today because the children spend a lot of their time in the foster care system. This keeps them from having a normal childhood. This is not only affecting our children of our society, but it is also affecting the future of our society. Because what is our future? The children. The children are our future. Any proper or efficient foster care system would strive to create an at least semi-normal childhood for these children. These children go through a lot, and to be placed throughout different homes all the time and to be staying in a system, in institutions or group homes with kids that you may not even know or even like, it's just really hard on these kids, and it's making their childhood very, very stressful, which is in return causing a very, very stressful future for us if this keeps happening. Most agencies are too eager for people with interest in fostering a child. Many social workers are so eager in finding parents that want to foster children that they do not completely look into the background of the foster parent. They don't look into the history or the background of the foster parent completely as much as they should. Serio also states that it enhances their perceived confidence, leading to the notion that parenting foster children is not too difficult, which yeah, we want people to believe that it's gonna be an okay thing, like, hey, you're gonna go foster some kids, change their lives, yeah, all for you. But it's not gonna be a completely easy job. Like, it's gonna be hard work, and parents need to understand that if they want to become a foster parent, so that when they do become a foster parent, they aren't just leaving the foster child behind thinking that, oh, this wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, so I'm just going to quit. Serio also says that this causes abusive, incompetent, and neglected parents, because if you don't know what you're signing up for, obviously you're probably going to turn out abusive, incompetent, or neglective, or all of the above. Lindsay Serio states that the government does not provide efficient funds for the agencies for the foster parents. So the government isn't giving enough money to the agencies to provide to the foster parents so that they can provide for their foster child. So it's already really hard taking a child in that isn't yours, and imagine not having the funds for it either. Serio also explains that PTSD-stricken children, along with homelessness, will be our future if we do not change the system. Joachim Hagopian wrote an article for Global Research on our foster care system. He states that the system has done more damage than it has any good to our children. Hagopian states, like all institutions in America, The child welfare system is just another corrosive, morally bankrupt, oppressive mechanism by which to control the poorest people in this country, acting as a national conduit pipeline to prison, substance abuse, human trafficking, homelessness, mental illness, and early death. Hagopian also states that universal human rights are routinely violated all day, every day in the system. He says that the majority of the children in the foster care system are abused mentally, physically, and sexually. Hagopian states that 56% of the girls that were participating in a support group for commercially sexually exploited females were previously in the child welfare system. Hagopian states that 22% of kids in foster care repeatedly run away or end up aging out of the system, staying with friends rather than remain in the foster care setting. Hagopian also states that 1/3 of teenage runaways were in foster care. And he also says that 40% of youth that arrive in runaway shelters nationally were in foster care during the preceding year. According to Investigate West, children who are taken out of abusive and neglected homes are only bouncing hotel rooms and other emergency housing after. They also state that in June of 2016 alone, children as young as 2 years old had 211 hotel visits. Earlier this year, for example, a 4-year-old was moved between 10 different families over 3 months and also spent several nights in hotel rooms. Investigate West also says that many foster children flee the streets and become homeless due to this. This leads to sex trafficking, violence, and drug abuse. According to Investigate West, a woman and foster parent named Lauren Hubbard said that she receives emails from 20 kids a year in need of a home. Hubbard has a daughter named Angelique, whom she adopted out of the foster care system. According to Investigate West, Angelique moved 17 times in 3 years, which is an average of once every 2 months. It took weeks for Hubbard to finally convince Angelique to unpack her things because she did not believe she was staying. Another reason our government is failing us is because the economy nowadays is in shambles. Jim Kenney states that back in the day there could be a stay-at-home parent and another breadwinner parent. One parent to provide nurture, one parent to provide money. Nowadays this is hard due to the struggling economy, and both parents must become the breadwinner. He also says that both of the parents coming home from work with decreased time and energy and attending to their own children and their own needs, that will be really hard for the foster care kids because they won't be getting the attention they deserve. They won't be getting anything that they deserve because their parents are too tired from working all the time. Jessica Kennedy states that taxpayers spend $22 billion in taxes towards foster children each year. Investigate West says the instability increases foster children's uses of mental health services, costing taxpayers money. As adults, foster kids are more likely to be jailed, have unintended pregnancies, abuse drugs, and be unemployed. This is also costing taxpayers money. Education. Instead, the system is negatively affecting our children's education. According to a different article by Investigate West, the foster care system is setting up our children for academic failure. Many times a child does not have a permanent home. They do not have a permanent school either, if they go to school at all. According to Investigate West, instead of going to school, they sit in the Department of Social Health and Services office. Social workers babysit them while managing their dozens of cases. Some children stay in those offices from early in the morning to really late at night. They are often with a bunch of other kids at all different ages. They sit in an office all day, and then they go to a hotel or a one-night placement at the nighttime, and then they repeat it all the very next day. It's very sad. According to Investigate West, each time a child switches schools, they lose 6 months of academic progress. For some children, school is the only constant and stable thing in their life, but the system is taking this away along with their opportunity for an education. Investigate West also tells us about a child named Ronnie who moved about 50 times and went to 20 different schools. Abramo and Ray state that the frequent moves many foster kids endure set them up for academic failure. Studies show that the less stable children are, the more likely they are to be absent from school and to have multiple school changes. Furthermore, my call to action would be that you all be more aware of the flaws in our system and maybe donate to some of our foster care families to help them with the adequate funds they need to help raise the future of our society. Some organizations you can donate to are TogetherWeRise.org, CASA.org, or the Dave Thomas Foundation. Thank you and have a nice day.